Hi everyone, I'm Luke Hector and this is Broken Meeple, a YouTube review channel where I talk about board games and give my honest opinion regardless of whether you want it or not. If you want to support the channel a little bit further, check out the Patreon, but more so just like the video, subscribe, and of course put your comments down below. Whew. Flagging a little bit, yes, I went to Essen last week and it was a great convention. Glad to see you, thanks for saying hi if you did. But it has drained me quite a bit. I mean, I've had to go to work today, I haven't had the much sleep over the last few days. The voice is, of course, maybe a tiny bit on the grouchy side, but I got a ton of games to review. But I can't get to reviewing those games until I finish this top 100. So today I'm talking through my 20 through 11. We've only got 20 games to talk about, and these are all 10 out of 10 games. I love them the bits, regardless of whether it's at 20 or at number 1. This is a game that if you're going to say, let's play it, I want to play it. You know, it's that good. And let's face it, so are all the other games I've talked about. It's just, it's so hard to rank these now because when you get to this point in the top 100, it kind of doesn't matter whether it's 20, 15, 5 or 1. Well, to an extent, it's just, they're just so good and juicy. So, without further ado, back to work.
Get on with it.
My number 20 was 12, it's dropped 8 places. Now, 8 places doesn't mean a lot in this regard, and it's mainly just because it hasn't hit the table in a while. The major expansion that came out first, I was kind of like, not particularly great, but I still really enjoy the base game, and I'm very excited about the new expansion that will be coming next year, when they hurry up and finish making it. Yeah, it's kind of on a bit of a delay on that front. But this is a big box, sort of fantasy style sandbox affair, except it's essentially a cube pusher. Okay, Luke, you don't normally like cube pushers. I know, this is kind of an exception to the rule. Vindication, on the other hand, though, really did it for me. This weird game where you start off as like the scum of the earth and you're trying to redeem yourself in some strange land. But essentially what you're doing is you're moving around a map and you're pushing cubes around your 6 different attributes in order to collect cards. And these can be companions that give you special abilities, a trait to improve yourself, again, give yourself an ability, relics, which are cool items, you can go fight monsters. There's a lot of stuff you can do, and it feels very sandboxy. You know, I want to move around the map a bit quicker, so fine, I'll go upgrade my mount. You know, I'm fed up with walking, I want to ride Mothra. I fancy killing monsters for a day. You know what, I need to go into that tomb over there. You know what, I just want a party of companions, and I'm going to use all their cool abilities. I love the way that this game has just got so much variety, and yet despite being essentially pushing cubes around, it still kind of feels a little thematic. I mean, not to a great extent, but you can inject a lot of that theme in there as you play and get those cards. Now, the new expansion, Chronicles, is probably going to inject a little bit more theme in there, although we'll wait and see how that goes. But even before that, I love this game. Variable end times, which normally I'm not a big fan of, but it's not too drastic here. And of course, you've got the variable end game triggers, so you got to keep an eye on those to decide, well, it's probably going to end if you get your mount to level 4, but I might be able to end it soon myself, maybe on my own terms. It's just got so many options, and again, I like games where I can just basically go, right, what do I fancy doing today? And this one does it for me. Granted, I wish it had a bit more theme, but as cube pushers go, it's pretty high up there. My number 19 has gone up 8 places. Not quite sure how that happened really, but hey, not gonna knock it. This is a great little card game, and despite the fact that it looks like garbage...
If that is a woman, it does look like she was beaten with an ugly stick.
Yeah, sorry, it does. The first and the third edition of this look like garbage. This is still such a fun game to play. And I say first and third because the second edition by Yellow actually looked pretty pretty. But I've got the third edition with all the expansions, and that of course is Innovation. Great little card game which is like leveling up technologies, but yeah, frankly it's an abstract card game. You're essentially playing them out in front of you with 5 different colours, with 5 different piles essentially, and you're gaining symbols via these cards. You're able to build up these 5 piles and potentially splay the cards so that they reveal symbols underneath other cards. But this is essentially race to find a broken combo in a sense. You know, you have to tactically think, alright, well, with these limited cards I have, what's the best move I can do? And you have multiple ways to win. You have to dominate certain ages in order to get points that way, but then you can also just carry on until you get to age 10 and have the most points at that stage. And then some of the cards have auto win conditions. You know, you activate this ability, and if you've got 12 of the crowns, you automatically win. So I've had some great experience with this game where I've managed to be on the back foot throughout the entire game, and I'm literally holding on by a string as I'm dangling off a cliff. And yet I get to the end and I realise, wait a minute, if I pull that move off and then use that card next, that means I go into age 10, we can't draw another card. I got 2 more points than him. I win!
You lose! Good day, sir!
Trust me, it feels great when you pull those things off, and I've done it once online, in particular that scenario where I literally was losing, I think 5 dominations to 1 or something, and they needed their 6th, and I literally pulled a fast one at the very end, and I got 2 points ahead of him, the game ended, and I won. I would have loved to have seen the guy's face on his PC screen. I'm pretty sure that PC is now rubble at this point. But yeah, innovation's just really cool, it's really clever. As I say, looks like garbage. Is essentially Asmadi games. This is what they do. They don't really think about aesthetics. They just think about functionality and, well, that's about it really. But yeah, it's a solid game and I still really like it. Granted, I only really want to play it 2-player because I think when you play it with more players, it just gets a little bit, crazy and a bit AP inducing. Although, I would be interested to try it with more players if everybody knew what they were doing. But trying to find other people who know this game inside out is pretty tricky unless you actually go online on Board Game Arena to find it. But yeah, this saved me through lockdown and I still love it. Even the base game on its own, but with the first expansion in particular, or Future Echoes or whatever it's called. Was it Echoes of the Past, I believe it is? Oh, it just gets even better. I love this little game. You gotta try it. Innovation. Now my number 18 has gone up 12 places. This has gone up from 30, and unlike Innovation, I know why this one's gone up. It's been getting more plays and I've just appreciated it more and more as time has gone by. And it's one of the oldest games I've played, at least in my collection. I mean, I played this back in the early 2000s when I was in university, and yet since then it's come out with multiple iterations. I now have the master set with the glorious tarot cards and gorgeous artwork. And yeah, people say that Mission Red Planet's the better game, but honestly, you saw it further down the list. I still love Citadels. Citadels is great. Role selection, and I can cherry pick the 8 or 9 characters that I want to use. I'm happy to play it with anywhere up to 5 players, and I love role selection. The idea that every round I need to do what I need to do. I need to build buildings, I need to get more cards, or I need to hide from the assassin. It's like, well, okay, well, what characters have I got here then? The merchant, magician, what can I do with these guys? Well, I could do this with him. But you think I'm going to take the magician. You're trying to steal my coins, aren't you? Which one would you think I won't pick? There's just a lot of banter, a lot of kind of sussing out what other players are doing, but also a little bit of like bluffing and hiding involved. But it's also just a very simple game. I can teach the basic 8 characters in no time at all, and we're already getting going. The reference card, hello board and dice, in front of you tells you all you need to do on your turn. And all you need is just a brief explanation of the characters. It's all written on the character anyway, they're all really straightforward. And honestly, the best setup I find to teach people is the original 7 characters, like 1 through 7, and number 8 replace the warlord with the diplomat, because the diplomat swaps buildings, so at least the person who gets screwed over gets something in return. The warlord just elongates the game and also feels a bit punishing when your thing just blows up. So honestly, the warlord never gets played anymore. It's the first 7 plus the diplomat. But I love to mix and match some of those other characters in there because there's some good ones, and believe me, you want a real vindictive game? Go into the back of the rulebook and play the setups that they have, and especially the one that's, I forget what it's called, but it's basically the stab you in the back scenario, which is where all the characters are generally evil ones. Whew, play that and see if you got any friends left by the end of the day. But I really love Citadels. I've loved it since university times. That's saying something. Even since then, like 23 years ago, and I still really enjoy this game. I'll play the original version with the old artwork, I don't mind, but honestly, the master set in the other room is the one to get, the Wind Rider version or whatever it was. Annoyingly, people can now get it in a smaller box, and I'm stuck with the big one over there. But I'm not willing to spend the money just to downgrade my box size. Oh well, that's just the way it is. But yeah, Citadels, still a great one for me. For my number 17, we climb a single place from 18. Yeah, it's steady, and this is kind of where it's going to situate, really. There's a lot of people out there who love space games. Yeah, Canada much. There's a lot of space games that I'm like, whatever, or don't actually like. I do not like Eclipse. Sorry, do not like Eclipse. Boring Eurogame. Balanced with checkbook and space. And as much as everybody gets on the whole like Twilight Imperium vibe, it's fine.
Kill him. Kill him now.
I don't mind it. I mean, it's not really that much exploration. It's mostly just a cluster battle in the middle for Mechatol Rex at some point during the game. And 6 hours? I don't really want to play a space game for 6 hours. It's just way too long. So I always tout the praise of this, which is my favorite space 4X, well, 3X technically, game, which is Empires of the Void 2nd Edition, Empires of the Void 2 with Ryan Lockett. This is my space game. This is my go and find aliens and blow up ships and go find events and grab minerals and level up technologies. My game, because this one takes 2 hours, possibly even 90 minutes, not 6 hours. There's a limit to how long the space game needs to go on for. But with this one, I get the best feeling of dealing with multiple alien races than any other alien spacey game that there is.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey.
You've got the different planets out there, each with their own alien, each with their own units and special ability, and you've got a choice: befriend them or kill them.
I claim this planet in the name of Mars. Isn't that lovely?
Kill them for the resources, or be their friend and get their little units that you can use in battle, and you can cherry pick which ones you want. But then you've got the power deck of cards where you've got the events that pop up and change the game state. There's a bunch of them and you only use one for each planet in the game out of like a possible 7, so the variety of events that can come up is pretty extensive. But then you've got all the cards themselves, so it's like, you know, I draw some cards and I think, ooh, I could deliver this to there, that'd be quite handy. Or hang on, those two planets are near each other. If I go to there, go kidnap this dude and stick him over here, they'll be my friend, which gives me victory points in that sense. You know, there's just a lot of these choices where I get to have an immersive experience like you normally do with Red Raven games. They're kind of known for that shtick, but I can do it in a shorter amount of time. Even just the action selection mechanic's pretty cool. The idea that you choose an action and then you do it, but then everybody else gets to do it after you, or choose to just refresh. So you got to look at the other players and think, well, what can I do that gives me the most benefit and them the least benefit? But it also cuts down a bit on the downtime, because yes, they're the active player, but you still get to do something when it's their turn. It's got, you know, a very fast timer. It looks gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. Oh my god, that board looks pretty. You know, if I'm showing pictures right now, you better be drooling at your screen because it is gorgeous. But yeah, I would like an expansion to come out for this game though. You know, add a few more aliens, add a few more planets, you know, add more power cards and that. You know, just give me more variety. I don't need more mechanics, I just want more stuff. But there's a decent amount of stuff in the game. I really enjoy this one. My space game, Empires of the Void. My number 16 was my 10th. Yeah, it's dropped out of the top 10, and well, it probably is gonna maybe settle here, maybe go a little bit further down, but I still really enjoy the game. Mainly it just hasn't been played much in recent months or years, and I think also the newest expansion that made it cooperative was fine, but it wasn't amazing. You know, I like it and I've played it, but I was like, I was kind of expecting this to like rejuvenate the game for me, and as such it didn't really rejuvenate it, it just kept it the same as it was. That being said, still really enjoy this when I play this as a free 4-player game of viticulture. Now when it comes to viticulture, I do have to mention a caveat. This is with certain aspects of Tuscany thrown in every game. I will not play Essential Viticulture. Viticulture World I'll play every now and again, it's fine, it's decent. You can check out my review for more details on that, but yeah, it didn't need quite the attention it got, that's for certain, but it's fine, it's an okay expansion. But Tuscany throws in very specific elements that I want to use. So you always must use the Tuscany board with 4 seasons, guaranteed. You must use Mamas and Papas, which I think are in Essential Edition anyway, but still you must use Mamas and Papas. You also must use the structures. The structures are really cool. If you want to use the special meeples, I can take or leave, but you must at least have those aspects in the game. And then what you can do is you can use 1 or 2 of those packs of advanced visitor cards. Like you've got Valley of the Rhine and you've got the Uri Rosenberg one. I think I quite like the Rosenberg one quite a bit because it's The Village Rhine or River Rhine or whatever it's called, one of those packs focus very much on the winemaking aspect and not much else. I quite like the cards that focus on the whole game in general. But as I say, you can cherry pick whichever cards you like, they're all cool. But this game is just a great thematic experience of making wine. Okay, grapes don't age like that, but still, it's got to abstract in some respects. But I like that it's a slow build up and then suddenly becomes like snowball rolling down a hill with your winemaking engine. I feel like I want a glass of wine when I'm playing this game. It feels almost calming for a worker placement game. Yeah, people are getting in your way and nicking your spots, and that's annoying. But I feel like I can just sit there and just be like, I'm gonna go make some wine tokens there. Yes, and a nice Chardonnay for that lovely order there. You almost feel like you just want to be like all posh when you play this. It's kind of weird.
The port is quite good.
Yes, quite good.
Indeed.
Most certainly.
What year is it?
51.
Ah,
Delectable.
I can customize it how I like, but like I say, that is my perfect setup. If I want to play it co-op, I'll actually play it co-op now and again, but honestly, I just think 3 to 4 player competitive viticulture is the way it is. And that's why it's probably dropping a bit, because I have to introduce that many caveats in there to get the perfect setup. I don't really find playing it solos worth it. 2 players okay, 3 to 4 is best, 5 and 6 is way too long. No, never 5 and 6 players, and the co-op is a nice change. But like I say, nothing to write home about. So yeah, viticulture, still really enjoy it. It's just dropping a little bit and doesn't quite deserve to be in my top 10. Question is, what does? Well, not currently this game, although to be honest, it could go back in there. Who knows, as expansions come out in the future. There's actually another one in the works. This one was my 7, I believe. Was it my 7? Let's have a check there. Yes, it was indeed my 7. It's dropped 8 places, but this one is, yep, it's definitely the best game that Czech Game Editions have put out. Loads of people like to compare 2 games together, and honestly, I don't find them that comparable, but just to really annoy those folk, Lost Ruins of Arnak is greater than Dune Imperium.
I'll give you a piece of
I don't feel they're that comparable, honestly, but the fact that people get so riled up over this comparison kind of amuses me. But Lost Ruins of Arnak I really enjoy. Tomb Raider, Indiana Jones, in a box, get them together, and you make this really cool Euro game. And I know I'm a little bit hesitant when somebody puts deck building as a side mechanic in a game, but this one sort of works. It's not full-on deck building. When you buy items, you will get to use them next turn, and artifacts can come back and be reused, but there's a few little ways to trash cards and mitigate your deck, and it's not like you build up like a 30 million card deck or anything. It's a relatively small one, so you will at least be able to use those cool cards that you've got. But it looks drop dead gorgeous on the board. The expansion adds player asymmetric powers and styles of play, which are really cool. You can now pick from 4 different research tracks to go up, and no, you do not have to do research to win this game. I have won by not concentrating on research. It is doable. Get good.
There are tapestries.
The tightness of the worker placement. You only got 2 workers. That's it. Just 2 workers, and you really want to have 4 or 5 in this game. But it feels rewarding to be able to generate a kind of engine or generate actions that allows you to go, right, I've used the worker there, which gets me the resources, that allows me to level up that bit on the research track. The Guardian's there, if I use the other worker to go there, that gives me the resources to kill that Guardian, and with its ability, I can draw another card. Oh, that card allowed me to grab some more resources, that's pretty cool. Just lots of little combos that you can build. Only it lasts for 5 rounds. I mean, it's not that long a game, honestly. 4 players with AP and new players, maybe, but for the most part, you can get this game done reasonably well. It's just silky smooth. It doesn't feel like it's grinding its gears at any point. Everything in the rulebook is explained very well, I find. The solo mode's really cool as well, and the player powers just made it even better. There's now a lot of cards, and the fact that there's a prototype expansion in the works, and when I say prototype I mean it's in prototype stage, gets me more excited, because what else could you do for Lost Ruins of Arnak, but that's it. That's all the information I have on the prototype, okay, so don't ask me questions on it. There was a box at Essen. That was pretty much it, okay? That was about all the information there was. So it's a teaser, it's happening. Question is, I wonder what's going to be in it. But like I say, even without another expansion, what I've got here is still top 20 worthy. This one was a bit of a shock though. 17 places from 31. Yeah, this has gone up quite a bit. And I think some recent plays of this with some friends of mine has kind of rejuvenated this. Not to mention the odd solo play. But there's a lot of farming games out there. Farming games are a good fun theme for me. I don't love them all. I mean, Agricola's okay. I don't like it's very punishing. I much prefer Caverner. But this is the farming game of choice for me. This is the ultimate sandbox farming game. And you know me, sandbox games definitely get a look-see. So combine it with farming, and peat farming, and animal farming, and grain farming, and reed farming, and shipbuilding, and wagon building, and shop trading, and clothes making, and Jesus Christ, this thing's got a lot of options. Fields of Arle. Now, I much prefer to play this solo than I do 2 or 3 player with the expansion, but honestly, I will play it 2 or 3 player because the worker placement spots, you know, get used up quick, and it's just cool seeing that much stuff on the board. I mean, you have so many options in this game, it is downright sickening. You put all this stuff out, and you have all the choice in the world, and you might focus your strategy on such a small aspect that half of it you don't even use. It's like, I don't care about ships and fishing and clothes and whatever. I'm too busy rearing animals and making grain, you know, and trading with the villagers. Great, do that, because it's a point salad. Loads of stuff gets you points. But there's a room to be flexible, there's rooms to diversify into other areas. But I just love that it's pure sandbox. Yeah, okay, you've got to be efficient, you've got to get more points than the opponent, you've still got to win the game, but for me, I just get a kick out of putting this thing on the table, getting all the stuff out, and just being like, well, what do I fancy trying this time, eh? You know what? Let's stick to clothes making. You know what? And we're going to stick to leather. Let's rear cows, let's slaughter them for leather, let's make a bunch of jackets, and just see how many points I can get. So cool, and I think that's probably why it's gone up a bit. You know, I've played it more a little bit recently, and it's just like, yeah, it's solidified itself. Because I think they used to be kind of neck and neck with Caverner for a while, Fields of Arle and Caverner, but nah, it's just overtaken. It's just really solid. Big box, huge, tons of cardboard, quite a bit of setup. You definitely need an insert for this game, and you've even got a lore book on everything to explain about Arle, in case you ever needed to. But yes, you want farming themes and you want sandbox experience, you cannot go wrong with this game. Right, let's move on to something a little bit more midweight. Although it's definitely on the higher end of midweight, there is a company that I definitely am getting behind their games at the moment called Garfield Games. I already talked about one earlier when I mentioned Raiders of the North Sea. Well, this one is in their West Kingdom trilogy. It's definitely, I think, the second heaviest of the West Kingdom trilogy, and I've liked it a lot already, but with the recent expansions that I did a video on, this has really gone up in my ratings. Viscounts of the West Kingdom in its big box there. I mean, what was it before? It was 20, now it's 13. It's gone up 7 places because of these expansions and just playing it more often. I love playing this game solo, actually, more than multiplayer, but playing it multiplayer is still good fun. But this was the start of Garfield Games getting solo modes right, because in other games that they've done, the solo modes were kind of a bit, they were okay, but nothing spectacular. The format that they use in Viscounts, though, where you've got the little card deck, you flip it over, and you go down step by step, the AI does this, this, and this, based on what kind of strategy it's going for. Asymmetric solo mode, so one goes for buildings, one goes for manuscripts, but it's easy, it's smooth, it's quick to pilot. I do its turn, I do a couple of things, I get on with my turn, and I get to have fun. This is how a good AI should be. Less piloting, more fun please. But even multiplayer, I still love this. You know, the rondel mechanic of moving your horse is really tight, because I'm always playing a character thinking, oh, I could play this character and this will get me a cool ability, yay, and I got to move only one space, oh come on, I need to get there. It always gets in your way. But you do have to focus your strategy a little bit in this game, like I'm sort of, alright, I'm going for buildings, I'm going for castles, I'm going for manuscripts. Although, with the expansions, you've now got chests, you've now got, you know, even more apprentices to do weird strategies with, and as much as the balance was a little bit off in the original game, I think with the expansions included, the balance has now stabilized quite a bit. They really buffed up buildings and manuscripts to be more on par with the castle one, and I can still win this game by doing some cool card flipping strategy with the trading action and still do pretty well. There's just now lots of variety. I mean, what do I fancy? I mean, all those townsfolk, all these heroes, all these chests, all those outsiders you can get now. Granted, maybe not one for the new players, but if you're familiar with Viscounts, the expansions really do a good job of adding to that level of choice. Of course, I've done a video on this, so by all means you can check out my full opinions on that front. But yeah, Viscounts of the West Kingdom is just a really satisfying midweight Euro. Garfield Games really knocked it out of the park with the final one in this trilogy. Curious what Wayfarers is going to be like. I mean, I've played it once or twice with like pre-Kickstarter ones. I want to see the final product in my hand, please. And so far, I really do like it. It's a bit of a brain burner, but I'm excited to get it played. But for now, we'll stick to Viscounts. Or will we? Yes, my number 12 was my 12 last year, and this is pure coincidence that the two of these ended up side by side. But this is kind of how it is. I struggle to tell which one I prefer, because Viscounts I prefer with less players, mainly solo, and it's a heavier game. But Architects of the West Kingdom, they're side by side, I'm not joking. Architects of the West Kingdom I can play with more players. And I think what solidified it to be above Viscounts is that previously I didn't want to play Architects solo, because the solo mode in Architects was kind of meh, nothing major. But the expansion that came out for Architects recently, I forget what it was called, but the Influence, I think like Works of Wonder, I think. I've done a video on it. It adds a solo mode. It revised the solo mode, sorry, and it brought it in line with what Viscounts did, with the card flipping, do step 1, 2, and 3, and does it. And believe me, the solo mode in Architects now is worth the price of admission for that expansion. It was really good. Now, granted, the other bits of that expansion probably maybe overcomplicated it a little bit for new players, but honestly, I just teach this with everything right out of the gate. But I digress. Architects is a worker placement game. You're building a cathedral, whoop-de-doo. It's not exactly that interesting a theme, but this one introduced that cool twist of you have all your workers already. You don't get more workers. You put them out on the spaces, and the spaces are better the more workers you have there. Okay, cool. But then, how do I get my workers back? Well, you get them out of jail. Wait, what?
Surprise.
There's a village action where you go around arresting other people's workers, dump them in jail to get cash, and then you've got to go to jail to get them out again, otherwise you might lose points down the line. It's just such a cool twist on worker placement, you know, just a simple change that makes it fresh, makes it something new. Looks great on the board. I've got the playmat for it, both expansions. I mean, if you don't want the latest expansion, then at least get Artisans, because I've done a video on that as well, and Artisans is such an easy auto-include, even for new players. Works of Wonder, maybe you want to leave it out with new players, but it wouldn't take long for them to get into it. And the time length is not long either. I have done this, I'm not joking, 6 players, me as the only person who knows what they're doing, 5 new players, less than 2 hours. Not joking. To do a 6-player Euro game in under 2 hours, including the teach, is pretty damn impressive, I think. You know, because the great thing with this is the timer track is variable, so you don't know exactly, it kind of accelerates near the end, but at the end of the day, players control the timer because it's how much people do building. And with 6 players, the tracks have extra columns for player count. It goes up to 5. There's no extra column for 6, which means technically a 6-player game is quicker than a 5-player game. And the turns aren't much longer, because your turn could literally be put a guy out there, get 2 stone. Done. Moving on, please. You know, even the building action doesn't take that long. So a 6-player game actually goes faster than a 5-player game. I actually want to play Architects with 6 players. Euro games don't do that often. I'm usually the first person to say 3 is a sweet spot, or I don't want maximum players. It's just like, it's too much time. You know, that being said, I like playing Architects with 3 or 4 players as much as the next person, but to be able to manage 6 with expansions, you don't get 6 in the base game. I think you get 5 in the base game, but wow. So it's pretty impressive. But anyway, Architects and Viscounts, neck and neck. Where could Wayfarers get to? We shall see. But at the moment, these two Garfield games are just really singing to me. Now, spoiler alert, there's no paladins. Sorry, paladins I liked at first, but then quickly started seeing the chinks in the paladin's armor, no pun intended, and just it's kind of dropped off, and I find it above average now. So yeah, paladins was the weak link for me in the West Kingdom trilogy, but architects and viscounts, oh man, so solid. You thought Fields of Arle had risen up. Hoo-hoo-wee. This is going to please a lot of you. This is going to annoy a lot of you as well, because this is one of those games that everybody just has to be one side of the extreme on. You've either got to love it to bits, which granted, I do love it to bits, or you've got to hate its guts and wish it would burn alive. Now granted, we're all guilty of this when it comes to certain games, and I can totally understand that this game is not for everybody, but come on. I love it. It's gotten better, and I think the reason it's gone up this much is because I finally managed to play the latest expansion more, and yes, it actually does improve the game. I love it. Birds are cool. Wingspan. Wingspan gets to my 11, it just misses the top 10. It was so close. But beforehand it was in my 30s. You know, I love the game, but I was like, okay, there are a couple of flaws here and I'm just sort of settling about there. But I've played it a lot lately. I mean, I've got a group of friends who actually are better than me at the game because they play it to death. And I haven't even played it as much as them. But the variety in the game, now that I've got Europe and Australia in there now, or Oceania, you know, it means that I've got a ton of bird powers to go for, and we're going to get Asia around the corner, and you bet I am going to get Asia and shove it in this game. Don't overcomplicate the game, please, Stonemaier. I just want more birds, you know, just give me a continent with more bird powers and I'll be happy.
In bird culture, this is considered a dick move.
I just find this game so smooth. It's fun. It looks gorgeous. It's pleasant. It's charming. There's loads of variety with those bird powers. And yeah, there's a little... Alright, there's a bit of luck. Okay, yes, you are going to have to, you know, rely on a bit of card drawing luck from time to time. But Oceania helps with that. The nectar resource being a wild makes it a lot easier to play birds. You know, the point scoring for nectar is tacked on. I don't know why it's there really, but you know, and even the revised boards on top of the nectar, they now balance it with the eggs, because people were like, oh well, I'm just going to do eggs every last action because that's the most powerful way to do it. Not gonna lie, it kind of was a bit, but the new boards, eggs are now slightly weaker, and the cards are better, and the food is a lot better. It is a lot easier to get food and cards, and a little bit harder to get more eggs. So with those balancing tweaks in there, with the wild, and all those birds, I'm sorry, all those new birds, yeah, that's what I meant to say. Whew, you can tell it's late. I just love this game more and more. Oceania did it. And for a while I was hesitant. I thought like, oh, I don't know if I want to play it because this seems like a drastic change and I'm going to have to chuck away old boards if that's the case, but gave it a chance, played it a few times, and I was like, yep, yeah, win. Oceania is now the way I will play Wingspan from now on. All the Europe birds, all the Oceania birds, bring on Asia please, that's what I want. Up, like what was it again, 25 places? Yeah, significant jump. Could it hit the top 10 one day? Maybe. We'll see what Asia does, but this is one of those games that could easily peak the 10 at some stage. Almost there, everybody. You won't have to wait that long for the 10 through 1 because I say I need to get this lot finished so I can review a ton of Essen games, but cannot wait to talk about the top 10. 2 new games, some jiggery-pokery here and there, some shuffling. Oh man, it's going to be pleasing. But these 10 games are very Eurocentric, I noticed actually. Yeah, Wingspan, Lost Ruins of Arnak, Fields of Arle, Viscounts, Architects. They were pretty much all Euro games to an extent. Well, maybe not Empires of the Void. That's not particularly Euro-y, but yeah, I do like Euro games, people, and some long ones. I mean, Fields of Arle, it's not exactly a walk in the park in 5 minutes, is it? But I think a lot of these ones tend to be more mid-weight level. So Vindication is kind of mid-weight, Architects is kind of mid-weight, so's Viscounts, kind of so's Lost Ruins of Arnak, because I would call that mid-weight as well. Mid-weight games are just kind of a sweet spot for me. I love a lightweight game when I just need to relax a bit. I mean, Wingspan's pretty lightweight. But then I also really like a heavy game now and again when I want to burn the brain. But mid-weight seems to be able to give me the best of both worlds without taking too long, giving me a decent amount to think about, but introducing enough complexity so that I can have fun with the variation and the mechanics, but I can still teach it to a wider range of people. It just seems to be a category of Euro that I really enjoy. But that being said, what do you think of these 10 games, eh? There's gotta be some lovers of these, although with a couple of them, there's also quite a few haters I know as well. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. What do you think of the 10 games I've talked about? Should they be higher? Should they be, well, they can't go much higher, but should they be much lower? Do you hate them? Although, let's maybe keep the Wingspan hate down to a point, because I know a lot of you don't like Wingspan, but a lot of you love it, so that's going to be interesting. But anyway, we'll get on with the 10 soon, very soon, I promise. But for now, I'm going to love you and leave you. So that's all from me. I'll see you on the next Broken Meeple video. Remember, if you like what you see, you can thumb it up, you can check out the Patreon to help me out. But most of all, as I said, get those comments down below and let me know your thoughts about these 10 games. If you want to check out more content on the channel, then there's plenty of vlogs I've been doing whilst I was at Essen. So if you want to hear the story of what's been going on at that convention, you need only tune in to those vlogs. Take care, and remember as always, it's only a game. See you on the top 10.